Welcome to The Strategic Edge, the podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners who want a competitive edge in the market. They want to be seen as the expert in their industry, and they're looking for cutting edge and innovative strategies that work across industries to help them scale their business like a boss. My name is Carden, and I'm your host. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, it's Carden here, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of The Strategic Edge. And I am happy to have my guest on today, Terra Fontenot, who is the CEO and founder of Uniquely Design. And she has a company that every small business owner has a need for, or every entrepreneur has a need for. And I'm excited for her to share her expertise, her knowledge, and even talk about the services that she has available for all of you who need to implement these things into your company. So Terra, thank you so much for being my guest. I'm excited to have you on today.
Thank you, Anne. It's exciting to be here. I definitely appreciate being here. So my name is Terra. I am the founder of Fontenot Solutions. We are a uniquely designed end-to-end accounting and business operations outsourcing firm for our service-based businesses. I love what I do. We take pride in helping our business leaders and owners get back their time so that they can work on the business versus working in the business. And we also help with improving internal efficiencies, developing those policies, manuals, procedures that in the end of the day helps them to increase their revenue stream.
Fantastic. And you mentioned work on the business, not in the business. And, one of the things, Terra, that I see small business owners do is they think they have to do everything themselves. And entrepreneurs, right? It doesn't really matter. Business is business. And so often they think they have to do everything themselves. They think, even when they're starting, I can't really afford to pay someone to do that. But time is money in a business, and you can't afford really not to. And it really needs to almost be one of the first people that you hire for your company, for your business, if you're looking for growth. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. I think as entrepreneurs, when we hear that or when we say that, we feel that we have to be solo, that we have to do everything ourselves. And I am very passionate about what we do because I look at the SBA statistics that continuously say our business leaders are not surviving past 2 years, 4 years because of finances, because of cash flow, because of accounting. So it is one of those areas that if it's not your strength, and even if it is, you should be focused more on getting your ideal clients and marketing your products, not worrying about the back office.
Right.
So I totally agree that we have to take off that hat and that mindset, because there have already been others who've come before us that have failed. And the statistics are showing us that. So we don't want them to continue to follow that path.
Absolutely. And, the reason businesses fail is because they don't have cash flow. That hands down, that's why they fail. And if you're not tracking the numbers, if you're not keeping good books, if you don't have good record keeping, if you're not tax compliant, we're going to talk a little bit about that. If those things are not dialed in, your business will not survive. You have to realize when you go into business, you take off the owner hat, or the hat that where you're doing the thing, right? And you have to put on the hat to be the owner and the CEO. And that means you need to understand the business side of things. It doesn't mean you need to do it all, but you need to understand it, right?
I agree. I think the kicks when you decide to take your passion and your desire and actually make it into a business, there's so much research that needs to be done on the industry. Why not look at how your competition is working? How are they striving? What does their business model look like? And we need to take a look at ours. If we're going to survive, how can I set my business up to where I can survive? And that's why we have been strong in pitching the one-page business plan. Like, what's the roadmap? What's going to help you get from 3 to 6 months to 9 months? Mm-hmm. We don't want you at the 12th month in your year and feel like, well, I've done all this work for nothing because I have nothing in the bank. Mm-hmm. So let's take a step. Let's do a lot of work in the beginning so that as you are finding your ideal clients and you're building that business, that you can be more on a coaster on that road versus feeling like you're on a stop and go. I'm having to stop. I got to find the cash. Then I got to put the cash back out there and I lose it all again. So that is what we want to help improve.
Right. And that's so important because here's the thing. Your roadmap, your plan is your GPS. It's your direction. It's going to keep you focused. It's going to help you stay on course to be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish and to be successful along the way and not get stuck in the weeds like so many people do. And then all of a sudden they're not paying attention to the money and they wonder where's the money, right? I have worked with multiple $1-million businesses that called me in because where's my money? I don't know where it is, right? And they even had bookkeeping. Yes. But if you're not staying on top of it, if you're not, if you're not paying attention to the numbers, if you don't really understand the numbers to pay attention to, it all can go away literally overnight. And, 87% of businesses fail, 97% in 10 years. Those are not good small business statistics, but it starts with business owners understanding the financial side, and a plan can really help them do that.
And you know what, Ann, we plan for a lot of things. We plan for trips. We plan for weddings. We plan to go get our hair and our nails done. So if we can put the effort into planning for those things, this is even a greater reason to say, you know what, this is something that I'm not just putting out there, or I'm not just doing this for fun. This is really a business. This is a resource, an income resource for my family, for my stability. And that is the way we want to change the mindset and helping our business leaders think about it. Don't look at a plan as just something you're going to put on the shelf or it's never going to work again.
An 80-page thing, right?
80-page thing. I think that is truly the vision people still have.
It is. They do think that. Yeah, I'm going to put together this 80-page, business plan and put it on the shelf. And no, that is not what I love the one-page thing. It's got to be something you can see, and you can see it every day, and you can work it. And no, there's such great points, such great points. So once somebody is in business for a while, and maybe they are doing things, maybe they don't have enough business right at first. And so they can kind of, they can pay attention to things themselves. But now once they start to grow their company and they're bringing in people to help them, I have a team. And I've built a lot of businesses with a lot of employees along the way. Now, at what point do you see that they should be investing in someone to help them do those pieces in their business?
One of the key things we see first is, like you said, the accounting aspect. It's not just about bookkeeping. As accountants, as a virtual CFO, we dig more and deeper because your numbers really tell a story.
Oh, yes.
And I try to tell my clients that all the time. You want to know if you can launch that product? Let's let the numbers tell us. You want to know if you're ready to hire that new employee, your first employee? Let's look at the numbers. Let it tell the story. Mm-hmm. So when we think about manifesting or getting to that next level, let the stories tell us if we're ready.
Yes.
And let the forecasting and projections let us know when we will be ready. Because when you bring someone aboard, you are their stability. They're looking for you to cut that check every time it's time to cut that check. But it's also more to that process when it comes to paying someone. You then have to think about the tax compliance. Mm-hmm. What are those things as a business owner that you have to set up to make sure that you're paying on taxes on a quarterly basis? And even if you don't have employees, if you are making profit, if you're generating income, we should be setting money aside to pay taxes every quarter.
Yes.
I hear it
and
very
savings.
often.
And savings. I just want to say
savings. Yes.
You need a fund, for downturns and downtimes. We're experiencing a downturn for a lot of people right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, that is a great point, because this is a situation that we couldn't have predicted for. But if we already have it in our processes as part of our culture to save, then many of us would be kind of in an okay situation. Maybe not great, but okay, because it's already a part of the plan. We can survive. Right.
There's a difference in surviving and failing, right? Even if things aren't, look, business is always going to have ups and downs. I've been doing it 29 years, 6 of my own businesses, and I've worked with hundreds of business owners, and there are always going to be cycles in business. But the businesses that will survive are the ones that plan for those cycles. They understand. We've been riding, Terra, a good economy for a very long time, right? And there have been a lot of people in business that have been riding the coattails of that good economy. and thinking like it's just going to go on forever, right? I've got all this money in the bank. And then all of a sudden, who could have ever predicted a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic that would just literally shut us down? And so to not be prepared for that, I mean, that's why, I don't know, 30 or 40% of businesses have already closed.
Yes.
They're predicting that it could be as high as 60%. Oh my gosh, that's scary stuff, right?
Very.
But as a result, a lot more people are going to be starting new businesses. They're going to be coming into the online space. They're going to, but here's the lesson. You still have to have the same fundamentals in place. It does not matter if you start a new business. You've got to realize what caused the last one to go under. You weren't prepared. And that really is what we're talking about here. Preparation.
Yes. Preparation.
Plan with taxes, right? With finance.
That's right. There are two key things that we're focusing on also in the one-page business plan. And one of those things is your structure. Because like you said, this pandemic has taught us that your business can't be solely based on face-to-face interactions with your clients.
Right.
There needs to be some online structure that you have set up so that in the downfall, we know that we can still have income or money coming in because we have an online platform. And it also helps us think outside the box about our business, because oftentimes we're just going with maybe the competition or maybe just the industry itself, but you're here to stand out because you may be coming into an industry that's congested, but how are you going to stand out? And those are some key things that we talk about, and it makes our business leaders have to think, but I'd rather you think now than down the road when it hits you and it's already a fire that we're then trying to put it out.
Those are such great points because, I've been doing a lot of conversations and working with clients who have been consulting, for example, and they've been going into people's businesses and working with those clients and doing those projects and all of those things. And now all of a sudden, here they are, they're at home and they can't do those things anymore. And they are not prepared. They haven't been doing anything digitally. They haven't been doing anything online. It's been all very old school. And now they're scrambling to try to get online. But here's the thing, they're coming in late, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have already been doing that. I went online years ago when I realized I didn't want to run around and be in people's businesses. I wanted to be mobile and be able to travel and run my business from anywhere in the world. And so, but I was early to the market. So now I'm teaching those people how they can do this. But that is, you're so right. A lot of people they weren't prepared. No. Digitally, they weren't prepared. Financially, they weren't prepared. And now they're playing catch up.
And catch up has you at the bottom of a bucket, just really scrambling, because now we're in the situation do you have the money to readjust? Do you have the money to switch?
Yes.
So that's our empowerment in what we do every day is, okay, how can we make a difference? Mm-hmm. How can we help those who realize that they need to make a change in their business model, or they need to change how they bring employees on board? Because employees want to be happy. They have options. So you got to give them a reason to be with you. Like if it's between you and someone else, what are those differences? Absolutely. And a lot of it, and you know what, Ann, I realized that why money it's at the top. Okay, I know you're listening saying, well, money does matter, and it does matter as far as how much a company is paying you, but the environment and the culture matters as well.
Yes, it does. People, here's the funny thing, working with hundreds of owners through the years, I hear it over and over again. Well, they left they left my business, they left the company, they went to a competitor, and and I'll say, well, why did that happen? Well, they paid them $1 more an hour. But that's not the case. People don't leave for $1 more an hour. They just don't. If they're happy, if they love the people they work with, if they love the culture, if the owner or the leader of the company, the CEO or the owner or whoever it is, if there's someone that appreciates them and they want to work, they bring people together. People don't leave those environments for an extra $1 an hour. No. So it's too much trouble, right? It's
It is.
it's too much trouble. And if you love something, it's not going to make any difference anyway. That extra dollar or even $2 or even $5 an hour is probably not going to matter in the big scope of things. So that brings me kind of to the next thing. I really want to talk about, you do employee handbooks and things like that. And one of the things that I help people do in their small businesses, look, you've got to set your business up for success.
That's
You've
right.
got to be compliant. You've got to have employee handbooks. People have to know what's expected of them. People have to be clear what they're trying to do, what you expect from me, what you want me to do. And handbooks are really something every single business should have. So I would love for you to talk more about that.
Yes. What we love to do is to say there's a standard template out there. Yes, it is. You can go and grab it, but your business is not the next business. Your culture that you're trying to build and brand, it's not the next business. So we take what your intentions are. We take the environment that you're trying to create and build, and we put all that in a handbook. And what we love about it is that across the board, we're setting a foundation of one of the key things, which is communication.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, if someone calls you with a question because you're the owner, well, can I do this? Can I do that? Or what do we do in this case? Across the board, it needs to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Not about how you're feeling that day or how you feel about that employee, but across the board communication. So we take that as our first step. What do we want to communicate across the board?
Mm-hmm.
How do we want to make sure that our employees know that you care? Mm-hmm. That you're an environment that provides an open field, open communication environment? What are the benefits? How can they see themselves here in the next 3-5 years? Because we also look for longevity and loyalty. The last thing our business leaders want is for our great employee to be there for a year and to lose them because we didn't communicate well, mm-hmm. or that we held on to a bad seed too long.
I actually want to interject a little bit in here too, because from a financial standpoint, employee turnover is one of the most costly things to a business. And so that it's so important. It's kind of like clients. You want to retain your clients, right? That's the way you're going to build an incredible, sustainable business, is to retain people as long as you can. And employees are the same way. Too many people don't have the fundamentals in place in their business. And that's why, again, employees feel like, number one, they don't feel secure. They don't feel like, this company's a little flighty. It's probably not going to be around for a long time, right? This owner doesn't really know what they're doing, or this entrepreneur doesn't really know what they're doing. So that doesn't create a culture of feeling secure with your job and all of that. But the other piece of that is turnover is expensive, and it's getting harder and harder to find good employees. So if you find them, you've got to make sure that you've got everything dialed in to keep them. Yes. Sorry, I just wanted to add that in because a lot of people just don't realize that it's costly.
You're right on point, because the hiring process starts way before they walk in the door. Yes. There's the process of job description. There's the process of what are you truly bringing them in to do? Yes. Then there's the phone screening. Then there's the actual face-to-face. Then there's the onboarding process. So all of that, like you said, costs time and it costs money, because you're still having to find that ideal person. We have to get out of our minds that the first person we talk to or we see that's going to be that ideal person, because more than likely it's not. Right. But in many situations, the managers and leaders make them to be. Well, I found somebody. I think they're a good
the warm body. I call it the warm body.
I don't want to have to look anymore. That person is it. But you didn't hear their experience. You didn't hear what they're bringing.
I've done that a few times through the years building businesses. I have done that. And actually, you bring up a point too that I want to bring in. And I know this isn't about hiring necessarily, but I think it is a really valid point that works well with what we're talking about. You need to be always recruiting. You need to be always looking for people. That's one of the mistakes people in business make, and I made those same mistakes years ago, is I would wait until I needed somebody to find somebody. You should always be accepting applications so that you never get yourself in a place where you have to take the warm body. Right?
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Yes. It helps with the anxiety because the
Yeah.
whole process can truly take up to 3 months to find that ideal person,
Mhm.
because you have to find them. They have to find time to come in.
Yeah.
You have to make scheduling your time. And that alone can take about a month before you're like, finally, okay, I can see you. So we like to make sure that we have all of that outlined and defined so that when it comes to setting them up for payroll, when it comes to setting up the benefits, all that takes time and money.
Mhm.
So
Right.
the efforts that we put into it, you said it right, that it is costly to keep slamming the door. Someone's leaving. Now I got to bring someone back in. It's
Right.
going to take me another 2 months to get them where the last person was. So
Mhm.
our efforts is to help stop that.
Yeah.
Let's see what truly is the core of why those one or two left. And it's not always the money. It could be, again, I've had circumstances. I was consulting for a spa, and we brought in a bad seed. And I felt bad because I interviewed that person. I asked
Mhm.
the questions, but they come in with some underlying intentions, but they were a bad seed. But we
Mhm.
held on to that bad seed too long because we
Oh,
wanted the warm body. The
yeah.
while that bad seed was there, what were they doing? They were planting seeds in everybody, and it just
Oh, it's
made
like
for
a
a bad
cancer.
environment. It's like a cancer.
It
So
is.
by the time you let that
Mhm.
person go, now there's two or three more that are ready to go.
Yeah, they've
It,
done a
it was
lot of
just
damage.
it
Mhm.
was just a big shocker. And me and the manager had to sit down and really talk and understand that when we realize it's time, whether you feel that you can have the capacity for clients or
Mhm.
not is there, you have to let that person go
Yes.
because they're not benefiting the staff that's trying to be loyal and stay.
Mhm. And that brings us to another point. If you don't have an employee handbook, if you don't have things documented, those things are not so easy to do. I mean, the laws are
Mhm.
on the side of the employees. And
That's
so
right.
you have got to make sure that you are covered legally in how you're handling those situations. And if you don't have an employee handbook, you can actually be liable, um,
Mhm.
financially and legally, right?
That's right, because you can decide to let them go. You can decide to write them up. But if that wasn't outlined in the handbook, they can easily say, "Well, this was not a part of the procedure. Why did you do this?" Or "You can't do this." Or
Right,
I'm not leaving." You
right,
know. Or when they leave, it's a phone call that you get. Well, so and so has filed for unemployment, and
right,
so so
right.
there are many things that it's not just a handbook, it's a foundation, it's security
Yes,
that we are pushing our entrepreneurs and leaders to do before you even hire someone. Do not hire without it. It's easy for
absolutely.
us to set up, it's easy for us to put together because this can be the one thing that they can always reference back to. And this can be that
Fantastic.
one, and I would say in updating maybe once a year. It's
I
not
was going to say,
something
how
you need
long
to
does it
update.
take you to put a handbook together for a business, typically, just roughly?
I would say typically about 2 to 3 months
Okay,
because it takes that sitting with you, Anne, and understanding what are your expectations for the
right,
company? What have you set forth? So
right.
I would say 2 to 3 months before
Mhm.
we've outlined and defined everything that we feel the company needs and that employee needs to be successful.
And I want to bring up a good point too, because in one of the things that as you're sitting with a consultant to help you create your handbook, you're also learning a lot about yourself, and you're also learning a lot about your company and what you really do want. And a lot of times people get into business and they don't think through any of these things. They don't really know what they want their culture to be like. They don't know what kind of people they resonate with to want to build their team. They don't really know what their mission and what their vision is for their company. And so to sit down and have to put these things into
Mhm.
a handbook, it makes you really, like you said, it's part of that foundation. If you don't have, I always say, if you build your business on sand, what is going to happen? Right? It's going to
Does.
cave in, it's going to crumble. You've got to build your business on rock, on concrete. You've got to build that strong foundation, because if you don't, you are always going to be susceptible with anything that comes along.
That's right. You're always going to feel like you're flying by the hip. Well, this
Yeah.
employee did
Flying by
that.
the seat of
What are you
your
going to do?
pants. That's my
Flying. That's what.
favorite.
There you go. Fly by the seat of the pants. That was what I was. That's what I
Shooting
did.
from
That's
the
what I
hip,
did.
flying by the seat of your pants. Right. Those cliches. But no, it's very true. It's
It
very, very
is.
true.
And
Yes.
we want to change the statistics and to stop that bleeding point when
Yes.
it comes to the engagement and survival. The last thing we want is a liability that we haven't planned for. And
Yes.
it's the least thing that we want. Hiring should be a great process. Bringing someone on board should be a happy moment because they're there for a reason. They're either there to
Right.
release you so that you can be more successful and resting and
Freedom,
with your
freedom.
clients, freedom, or they're there to just help you maximize and grow. But they are there for a reason. And
Yes.
that's why it's important that we give them the best successful onboarding possible.
So, Tara, I want to just kind of wrap this up. We've talked about payroll. Well, we didn't talk a lot about payroll, but you do offer those services as well, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
If the business owner leader already has their software, they're just needing support, we can do that. Or if they're needing the software to kind of get things set up, we can do that as well.
Perfect. Okay. So we've got taxes, you'll do the financials, the bookkeeping, you'll do payroll, you'll write employee handbooks, you'll help with the hiring process, all of those things that most business owners really don't like to mess with and really don't like to do. You can do a lot of that for them. Now, I want to just make a point here. What we're talking about is mandatory in a business. If it's going to be successful and sustainable, it is not optional. These are not optional things. These are things you have to have if you're going to have that strong foundation in your company or in your business as it grows. And if you don't have these things in place, then you are leaving your business to chance. Would you agree with that, Tara?
I definitely agree. And I founded this company to provide a solution, in which our SBA statistics are continuously saying, hey, our business owners need help to survive. So we're here to give that solution for accounting and business operations as a one source stop.
Yeah.
So we encourage our business leaders to find out what their gaps are so that we can fill them. And again, it doesn't have to be a full outsourcing option. It can be a co-outsourcing to where you're saying, yes, Tara, these things need to go. I'll keep these. Or it can be project-based because we don't have to run out and hire for every fire that we have. Maybe that fire is just a project fire and not a full-time employee fire.
You kind of bring up another point too that we didn't really talk about, but sometimes business owners think, and I'm thinking like a lot of brick and mortar because I work online with entrepreneurs, but I also work with brick and mortar, and they always think they have to have someone in their business. Like they're not into the outsourcing thing yet. And I want you to know it's a lot of times it's a lot more cost effective to outsource many of the things that you need than to hire another employee. And you're still putting people to work. You're still giving people work.
Right.
So, I have a team and they're all virtual and they're all, they have their own businesses, but they're still part of my team. I don't have to pay all the employee taxes and all of those kinds of things. So it's a very cash effective way to run your business. And we haven't always had this luxury, to outsource. And the old days are you had to get an employee and they had to sit they had to sit and do all the books. But now with technology, we have luxuries that we haven't always had. And so to not take advantage of those things, you might be giving away profitability and revenue and cash flow that you could be keeping, right?
We have to be innovative.
Yes.
I think this pandemic has shown us that we have to be innovative in the way that we manage and run the business. It's more to just bringing someone on board. It's like you said, hiring and having someone full-time, that's taxes, that's benefits.
Yeah.
There's so many aspects of it versus outsourcing or having a consultant that can still help you get to your next step or level.
I think the corporate landscape is never going to be the same after this.
No,
I think they're realizing they don't need those big old buildings and they don't need everything that they spend money on and all of that. So I think you are going to see, I think business is going to change completely. I think it's going to be a completely different landscape and it's never going to be the same again after this. So some of that good, some of that not so good. I think that's just the reality of it. But anyway, so Tara, thank you so much for being here. We're going to put your links and everything in the show notes so people can reach out to you and get a hold of you. And I know you blessed my audience today, and I know you just gave them massive value. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ann, for being here. Thank you for your audience and your platform. I definitely appreciate it.
You are welcome. And for everyone that's listening, reach out to Tara if you have any needs in your business for the things that we've discussed here today. And if you want to grow your cash flow, your profitability, your revenue, you need help with your marketing and sales, building your team, those are all things that I can help you do in your business as a coach, as a consultant, to really help you take your business and scale it to that next level so that you can have a life of financial and personal freedom. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any episode of The Strategic Edge. Until next time, you all have a wonderful day. Go rock your business, and God bless you. Bye-bye.